So, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like, I'm fucking pissed off. I'm pissed off, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm pretty pissed off.
You may have heard recently that Behavior publicly announced their partnered consultant program that supposedly takes dedicated members of the DBD community and pays them to test out early in development changes to the game. Now, at first glance, this seems like a really good change and something that the community has been begging for years. With all of these weird changes like the Twins rework that was a complete disaster, or the weird shift from trying to nerf Hillbilly to then turning around and giga buffing him to being a top tier killer, the balance of the game has been completely bipolar, and this consultant program has been the answer we're looking for, right? No. On the contrary, this consultant program seems like a big corporate sham. The first thing that's incredibly important to point out is that this consultant program isn't new. In fact, it's old. We know it at least goes back several years to when Dowsey was still playing Dead by Daylight. And according to him, even back then the consultants were not listened to and cited it as one of the reasons he ultimately decided to give up on the game, saying, "It wasn't, unfortunately. I used to be a consultant for DBD during Twins and Trickster. It is honestly part of the reason I quit. It was such a waste of time trying to improve anything." So if the consultant program is this old, then why are we now suddenly just hearing about it? Why is Behavior going public with this and even announcing that they're giving members a unique cosmetic to celebrate it? It makes no sense to me. And side note, it makes the Fog Whisperers look bad, like really bad. There was always some speculation that Fog Whisperers had some input in game direction choices or this or that, but by announcing this consultant program, Behavior just effectively killed the credibility of the Fog Whisperer program. It is dead because they essentially just confirmed that Fog Whisperers in their eyes are just advertisers for the game and nothing more, which is obviously going to make the DBD community look at Fog Whisperers like shills, right? And at that point, why would you stay in the Fog Whisperer program? I know I would leave instantly. As I'm putting this video together right now, SpookyLoopz just left the program over this as well.
Anyways, all right, so here's the scoop. Here's the fucking scoop. All right, I'll tell you the scoops. I'll tell you the scoops, because you know what?
I love you.
I can do that now, right? I can do that now. So there's a program that Behavior announced today, officially, that a lot of us have kind of already known that was out there, but the program is called Consultation Crew. Consultation Crew. Have you seen it on Twitter today? Have you seen it? Perhaps. So what the Consultation Crew essentially does is they work on upcoming content for the game and work with balancing and things of that nature. Does that make sense? That's what it is. It's pretty much like it is a direct line to Behavior where you're part of like the testing team, essentially, where you get to go and work on new stuff with the team and give feedback and things like that. Pretty much game testers to an extent. Yeah. You know, I'm on the program, obviously, so I don't know, right? So we've kind of already known that was the thing that's out there. I'm not going to bullshit. I've been around the game for almost 5 years. I get it that those programs I already knew from years back that they exist, right? Like most game companies probably have their own little squad of people they use. It doesn't matter, right? So when I joined the Fog Whisperer program, and I'm trying to come from this from an angle. I'm not trying to sound like a whiny bitch, right? I've said this in the past before, but I've had some problems with Behavior recently in terms of what how they value me as an asset for this game. So I've said it a whole bunch of times. I've talked about it directly to the team. I know that this program is kind of in the works. I like to be involved. That's what, and this is my fault too. When I signed up for the Fog Whisperer program, I personally thought that this was going to be a direct line for me to be able to have one step closer more than the public does to lay some input and give my opinion on certain things and balancing and whatever the case may be involving Dead by Daylight, right? That was my idea. I'm completely wrong. I've came to terms with that. I'm signing on as a brand ambassador, and that is it. My job is to use my platform, whether it's Twitch, my live audience, or my almost 700,000 fucking subscribers on YouTube, to push this game, right? That is my job. I am a promotional tool, and that's all it'll ever be, right? I've had frustrating parts with this program before recently, It all started with like the lights out program. The lights out game mode was only hand selected. Remember we talked about this? It was only hand selected for a couple of people. Why not all of us? Why not all the fog whisperers that are in the program? There's like 60 of us anyway. So long story short, the program gets announced today that they have publicly. Why it's public? I don't understand why. I don't give a shit who's in it. I don't care how they got in it. Whether you have 1,000 viewers, 50,000 viewers, you have 100 hours, you have 5,000 hours. I don't care. Why is it announced publicly? Why? So this is what I said in Discord. I said this in Discord today. I said, what I find so interesting about this recent consultation crew becoming public is I feel a lot of us already knew something like this existed, but whoever on the PR team made the decision to bring this program to the public either did not consider how this makes the Fog Whisperer program look, or they just simply didn't give a shit. And to be completely honest, I can't tell which one is worse. Not only does this shove a bigger wedge between us and the community, which is us in the Fog Whisperer community in the Fog Whisperer program, right? But it paints us to be the lesser of the two programs. I understand that there are certain people that are needed to join the program for accessibility reasons, but to not even have your own candidates that you handpick to join this program given a shot really goes to show that you don't take any of us seriously. I would stick around for Vecna codes, but I'm too embarrassed. I quit and I left the Fog Whisperer program. That's it.
I don't want to use too much of what he said here, though. He's making his own video about it. Maybe it will be live before this video is, so make sure to keep an eye on his channel for his full thoughts on the matter. Going back to why did Behavior announce this publicly? Well, I have a theory. After the colossal failure of the Twins rework PTB, where they reverted 90% of the update because it was so terrible, I said this to the developers. I don't want to sound like a douche, but imagine if you just asked the community about these change ideas before spending the development time and resources on implementing them, only to have to immediately revert 90% of them. All right, so that's what I said, and this tweet did blow up a bit. It got a lot of responses. We even got a based response from Otz, which makes me assume he was unaware of the consultant program as well. So I'm assuming somebody at Behavior, probably on their PR team or something similar to that, decided, okay, let's announce the consultant team publicly to make it look like we're doing something new. They presented it like it was a new program on purpose when it's existed for years, which already comes across incredibly disingenuously. And why? I think there's two sides to the coin. One is obvious because they do get good publicity by intentionally trying to trick people into thinking this is a new program. We already talked about that. But also they get to sort of use these consultants as a shield now, right? Behavior can make horrible balanced choices now, like they did with the Twins rework, and then turn around and say, hey, the consultant team is a group of individuals from the community like you, and they thought it was fine. Now, Behavior will never directly say that, but it is the implication, right? These consultants are going to be judged heavily when in reality, they probably had very little input. I mean, the only inside source, not under NDA, said they didn't listen to anything. So again, ask yourself, what is the point of announcing this? To me, it seems like a scummy, self-serving corporate idea. The alternative reality is that Behavior does listen to these consultants, but if they're greenlighting things like the Twins rework, then they're kinda useless, right? Or maybe these consultants never even saw the Twins rework. But then again, if that's the case, why announce this publicly? It doesn't make any sense outside of the reasons I already gave. The whole thing just seems pointless. Lastly, who are these consultants? Behavior seems to be randomly grabbing people out of nowhere to do this instead of their own fog whisperers. Even after SpookyLoopz literally asked to be a part of it and was just totally ignored. To me, that means they want a very specific group to be a part of this, and it just feels kind of shady. Now, I get the angle that Behavior wants some casual players to be a part of this so they can get some casual perspective of things, but at the end of the day, casual players don't really understand cause and effect. So they tend to lean into things more emotionally than players who have a deep understanding of the game, and I'm willing to bet that unbiased, highly experienced players will know how to make the game more fun for casual players than an actual casual player would, right? So it's very concerning. I've also been a part of programs like this before, and What tends to happen is that you get a group of people together that all need to be super aware of each other's feelings, because members of these groups will tend to get really upset if they get challenged, even if it's 100% not personal and you're strictly talking about the game. So much like a clique, they'll sort of push people out who are more inclined to be passionate about design choices they do or don't agree with, and then the whole thing can become a cringe echo chamber. Hopefully that's not the case here, but I would not be surprised if it is. And you might say, well, these consultants aren't the devs, so how is it their fault if bad balance choices go through? And what I would say, if that's the case, again, then what is the point of these consultants existing if the devs don't care at all what they say? Or at the very least, why the hell did you decide to make this public? None of it makes any sense logically. The only thing about this consultant program that has me willing to give it a shot is the fact that Hens and Otofu are members of it. I do trust their game knowledge, but groupthink is a hell of a drug, and being able to be involved in the game development, it just isn't something many people would want to throw away by being too hard-headed, right? The overall point is, though, I was stoked when they first announced this. I thought finally we might be getting somewhere with better balance, and then boom, it was all a very subtle lie. These consultants either have very little to no input, or their input doesn't seem to be that good. Not sure which it is. The program has been around for years already, proving its ineffectiveness. It has straight up killed the Fog Whisperer program by announcing it publicly, and the only former member of it not under NDA said these consultants don't get listened to at all anyway. So I don't know, I'm definitely a bit bummed out now. What do you all think? I'm curious on your thoughts about all of this. Let me know. Don't forget to leave a like, as it really helps out the channel. And as always, thanks for watching and have a good one.